Good morning. Good morning, dear students. Today we'll be doing the lesson The Silk Road. Lesson number 8, Silk Road. Yes. So you can open your books, you can take out the lesson, and I am also sharing this lesson. Okay? Now let's see this Silk Road. First of all, let us talk about the term. The lesson is talking about some route, right? And this route has been and had been in the past very, very important. Maybe the silk was traded. Yes. So when we see these expressions, right? Ducking back, swat, careered, maneuver, can of rocks, salt flats, below. While reading, we'll be discussing these also. Now, if you see the beginning of the lesson, when our narrator, now let's first discuss that what is this, what is this Silk Route, and what is the significance of this? Why it is called Silk Road? Why this? The narrator, the author is going to discuss the significance of Silk Road, his experience, as well as taking us back to the history also, little bit, right? That how some routes and some places have been very, very significant. Also, this is actually his personal experience, how he felt related to his health and on such a great height. And so we'll be discussing all these things. And now, why is it called Silk Road? Because it earned its name. First of all, the Silk Road was the route that joined East world to the West world in the ancient times. You can say second century, since second century, right? So now the second thing, why it is called Silk Road? Because the silk was traded first of all from here, then the other things started on, right? So the Silk Road was a network of trade routes which connected east and west from 2nd century to 18th century. Nick Middleton has written his own experience related with this route, with this road. So, a flawless half moon floated in a perfect blue sky on the morning. We said our goodbyes, extended banks of our clouds, like long French globes glowed pink as the sun emerged to splash the distant mountain tops with a rose-tinted blush. Now he's saying, when I started my journey in the morning, the sky was blue, but I could see that white color of moon on the, like sky early in the morning, right? Which is about to diminish. Sky on the blue sky on the morning, and flawless half moon floated in a perfect blue sky. We said our goodbyes. I said goodbye, or he's expressing that I'm saying goodbye and then I'm planning to start my journey, and I planned that way. Extended banks of cloud like long French loaves of bread. The clouds looked like big, big loaves of, right? With circles, with bubbles like shapes, and but huge, glowed pink as the sun emerged to splash the distant mountain tops with rose tinted blush. Now that we were leaving Raoul, Lamo said she wanted to give me a farewell present. Now Lamo is one lady there who wanted to give him something. And what was that? That was overcoat, you can say, to protect him from being on utmost heights when you go. So one evening, I had told her through Daniel that I was heading towards Mount Kailash to complete the Kora. Now let me tell you, dear children, he was going to Mount Kailash, and the heights of around 6,000 feet, 8,000 feet, maybe more if he has planned. So And to complete the Kura, the Buddhist people, they, take a round circle of this particular place, Mount Kailash, and they complete their journey as a pilgrimage, or it is there as a pilgrim, or like as a shrine. It is not actually shrine, but it is. It has its own spiritual importance. Many people go. So to complete the Kura. Now you can write down after this these beautiful expressions of these half moon floated, perfect blue sky, and goodbyes and all. You can write circumambulation of the temple. This is Kura. Like you take rounds and rounds and you complete your, and in that completing of those rounds, you chant the name of your Lord. So he has come for that Kura, and she had said that I ought to get some warmer clothes. After ducking back into her tent, after going back, she emerged carrying one of the long sleeved sheepskin coats that all the men wore. Now Satan sized me up as we clambered into his car. Now there's a person who will be taking him, his driver, and he's going now. And yes, he declared, drove bus, sir. So maybe they saw shepherd and all. So there was a conversation between them, and he used the local word there. Few words we'll be observing in the lesson. So drove by. You can write with a pencil, shepherd, sir. And we see something, we say, and the other one who is the local resident of there, he may confirm it, affirm it that yes, sir, they are shepherds, or he's a shepherd, or like that. We took a shortcut to get off to Chang Tang. Satan knew a route. Local people, they very well are aware of the routes, and he was a driver. So now we took a shortcut to get off the Chang Tang. Satan knew a route that would take us southwest almost directly towards Mount Kailash. It involved crossing several fairly high mountain passes. He said, but no problem, sir, he assured us, if there is no snow. Now, there will be no problem if there is no snow, but if there is snow, then we may get stuck up, or we may find problem. What was the likelihood of that, I asked, not knowing, sir, until we get there. I cannot confirm anything, I cannot say anything until we reach there that what will be the situation. Dear children, the intro part is clear. Hello, dear students, unmute yourself. Very good, virtual signs have come up. So this is the beginning. Now see, more connectivity will take place once we get your responses. So I am now more clear with my idea that how to move with this lesson. When the beginning, he is about to journey to complete his Kora. The narrator is going to Mount Kailash, and he'll be doing his journey, which has a spiritual purpose, and in that, whatever he is experiencing, he's sharing, right? It involved, now when he is moving on, it involved crossing several fairly high mountain passes, he said. Now shortcut they had taken. What was the likelihood of that, I asked? Not knowing, sir, until we get there. From the gently rolling hills of Ravu, the shortcut took us across vast open plains with nothing in them except few gazelles. Now who are these? Those belonging to the deer family. So they are innocent animals. When you see them, they run away, and they are quite good at running. That would, so he found them, then dry pastures, and frowned before bounding away into the void. And he found them that would look up from nibbling the arid pastures. Nibbling means munching something or eating, and the dry lands are there, dry fields are there. Fields, you can't call them fields also, it's a hilly area, but still whatever is in the vicinity. And they will run away, bounding away into the void. Further on, where the plains became more stony, then grassy, a great herd of wild ass came into view. Now he's describing the animals that he found on his way. Satan told us that we were approaching them long before they appeared. Kyang, he said, pointing towards a far-off pall of dust. Now Kyang is a mound of dust, you can say, which they saw. and we were approaching them long before. This is about the animals, and when we drew near, now he said, they before they appeared, so Kyang, he said. Now the second word in that local language, right, which has come, that means a dust or mound of small mound of dust, right? So this way, right, pointing towards a far off pall of dust, a cover of dust. When we drew near, I could see the herd galloping en masse, now wheeling and turning in tight formation as if they were practicing maneuvers on some predetermined course. Plumes of dust billowed into the crisp, clean air. Now we need to understand here, dear children, a few words, few expressions which we need to understand. Now, I'm repeating from this line. Further on, where the plains became more stony, then grassy, a great herd of wild ass came into view. Satan told us that we were approaching them long before they appeared. Kyang, now huge pile of dust, he said, pointing towards a far-off pall of dust. When we drew near, I could see the herd galloping in a group, en masse, in a group, right, wheeling and turning in tight formation, as if they were practicing some exercise, some military drill, right? Okay? So practicing maneuver on some predetermined course, plumes of trails of dust billowed into the crisp, clean air. Now, when some people in large number move, there is a lot of dust, and that dust could be felt. Right? That dust filled the air. So billowed into crisp, clean air, and crisp and clean air was all dusty at that moment, right? So as the hills started to push up once more from the rocky wilderness, we passed solitary Drogpas tending their flocks. Now Drogba, we have already discussed, shepherds. Sometimes men, sometimes women. These well-wrapped figures would pause and stare at our car, occasionally waving as we passed. When the track took us close to their animals, the sheep would take evasive action, veering away from the speeding vehicle. Please underline these terms. We passed solitary dropas, lonely shepherds, attending to their flocks. Now, some were men, some were women. They were in their wrapped clothes because on heights, and moreover, they used to stare their car. They stared and occasionally waved their hands. When the track took us close to their animals, when we were close to their animals, the animals changed their direction to the coming vehicles, speeding vehicles. We passed nomads, dark tents pitched. Now we are on the next paragraph. Pitched in splendid isolation. There were tents of nomads, usually with huge black dog, Tibetan mastiff, standing guard. These beasts would cock their great big heads. They would put their heads up as soon as any vehicle will be caught by their eye. And when they became aware of our approach and fix us in their sights, as we continued to draw closer, they would explode into action. These dogs, they would protect these nomads, but as soon as anyone approached, anyone's car or whosoever entered, they would follow, speeding directly towards us like a bullet from a gun and nearly as fast as they could. So these mastiffs, these dogs, these shaggy monsters, hairy monsters, please write down with the pencil the meanings of the words. There are so many words in the lesson in these paragraphs which you will learn, right? So, while moving from Rahu to this route, he found these animals from those beginning when he began his journey. So after that, right, now the Tibetan Mastiff. After Gazelle, then another set of ass, then shepherds with their sheep, and now Mastiff. Tibetan dogs. And those dogs used to protect these nomads. As we continued to draw closer, right, they would explode into action. These shaggy monsters, blacker than darkest nights. They were quite black, usually wore bright red collars and barked furiously with massive jaws. They were completely fearless of our vehicle, shooting straight into our path, causing Satan to brake and swerve. Now causing lot of disturbance and what to think for a moment, right? Causing Satan to brake and swerve. Now change the direction. To apply the brake and little bit change the direction if it is possible. The dog would make a chase for 100 meters or so before easing off, having seen us off the property. It wasn't difficult to understand why ferocious Tibetan Mastiffs became popular in China's imperial courts as hunting dogs, brought along the Silk Road in ancient times as tribute from Tibet. Now, one historical point, one episode, one incident, not incident, but some practices are being shared here, that now it was not difficult for me to understand that these ferocious Tibetan Mastiffs were very popular in the past, and they were gifted, and they used to come from the Silk Road only, and they were tribute from Tibet in China, China's imperial courts in the past. So they had this importance. That means they were good, ferocious dogs who could protect people and especially their masters. By now we could see snow-capped mountains gathering on the horizon. So he's observing all sightseeing and wild journeying and beautiful sights that he's experiencing. We entered a valley where the river was wide and mostly clogged with ice, brilliant white and glinting in the sunshine. Glinting, shining, sparkling in the sunshine. The trail hugged its bank, twisting with the meanders as we gradually gained height and the valley sides closed in. Now, the roots of the hilly area are quite twisting and turning. So those twisting paths, right? The turns became sharper and the ride bumpier. Satan now in the third gear as we continued to climb, the track moved away from the icy river, laboring through steeper slopes that spotted big ropes daubed with patches of bright orange lichen. Now vegetation of orange lichens and all they could see. And moreover, I'll explain you this paragraph again, that when the dogs used to follow them, and now after this experience of being followed by dogs, they entered into a different, sight, you can say, and snow-capped mountains gathering on the horizon, and valley where the river was wide and mostly clogged with ice, and like beautifully shining, glinting in the sunshine. The trail hugged its bank. The trail hugged its bank. So the trail on which you move, as if hugging the river bank, twisting with meanders. Now those paths that I discussed, right? Those angular, circular, those twisting and turning paths, right? And these were quite sharper. These parts were quite sharper, and how they were sharper as well as quite, thrilling, you can say. Yes. Now, let us move further. We struggled round another tight band. Wait, let me pick up the line. The track moved away from the icy river, laboring through the steeper slopes that spotted big rocks, daubed with patches of, now daubed with, marked with, marked with patches of bright orange. Now vegetation has also been discussed. Beneath the rocks, hunks of snow clung on in the near permanent shade. I felt the pressure building up in my ears, held my nose, snorted and cleared them. We struggled down. Now he's on height. So that pressure he's able to feel. And regarding his health insight, right? Ears, nose. He had opened his door and we struggled round another tight bend and Satan stopped. He had opened his doors and jumped out of his seat before I realized what was going on. Snow, said Daniel, as he too excited the vehicle, letting in a breath of cold air as he did so. Right? So dear students, we are keeping our lesson till here and we'll continue tomorrow. Yes. We'll continue the next part of the lesson. It's a little longer lesson, but with so many expressions and beautiful words, which will help you a lot in learning, as well as when we go somewhere, we do write our experiences in the form of a travelogues, diaries, writing those experiences in the form of sharing through the newspapers, school magazines. So this is like that, that how his experience at Mount Kailash, or when he was journeying, going there was. So we'll continue tomorrow, dear students.